Okay, have you ever looked in the mirror and seen someone, well, someone who isn't your mom or your dad looking back? It's a funny thought, right? But today, we're going to dive into this really cool idea that maybe, just maybe, the most surprising parts of who we are don't actually come from our parents, but from, the other branches of our family tree.
Like, have you ever caught yourself saying something, or even just the way you stand, and you have this sudden jolt? You think, wait a second, that's not my mom, that's not my dad, that is my aunt, 100%.
Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you are so not alone. Turns out, it's a super common feeling. This little sense that a piece of you is a direct echo of someone, I don't know, further up or maybe even sideways on the family tree.
All right, let's get into it. Section 1, a different kind of mirror. We're going to start unpacking these hidden family connections and see what they can tell us about ourselves. So, it turns out we often find these little reflections of ourselves in relatives who skip a generation. Or, and this is what I find so fascinating, they might come from relatives who, well, they kind of sidestep our parents completely. Think about it. It could be your aunt or your uncle, and we're talking about anything from the way you stand to your specific sense of humor or even the way you talk.
And that brings us to this really interesting concept, which we're calling the sideways family tree. Now, it's based on what the source calls the opposite parent, same gender relative theory. I know, it's a total mouthful, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. Sometimes the best clues about who we are aren't found by looking up at our parents, but by looking, well, sideways.
And this slide really helps you see that shift in perspective, right? On the one hand, you've got the usual view, looking straight up to mom and dad for clues about who we are. That's what we all do. But then, look at the other side. This new perspective shows this whole sprawling web of aunts, uncles, grandparents, and this theory suggests that maybe, just maybe, the real clues are hiding out in that sideways web.
Okay, so here's the theory in a nutshell. It suggests that daughters often end up resembling their dad's side of the family, so his sister or his mother. And on the flip side, sons might find they have a ton in common with their mom's side, her brother or her father. It's a really interesting pattern to just think about in your own family, isn't it?
Now, let's be super clear about something. This is not a hard and fast scientific rule, okay? It's not like a law of physics. Think of it more as a lens, a tool for self-discovery. It's an idea that's inspired by things we can actually see in families, and even some cool concepts from epigenetics, the idea that experiences can actually change how our genes work across generations. So yeah, it's a way to think, not a genetic guarantee.
Okay, so where do these resemblances actually pop up? Let's jump into section 3. Echoes of your relatives. We're going to look at all the surprising places they can appear.
It could totally be in your personality. Maybe you have that exact same dry wit as your mom's brother, the one who cracks everyone up at family dinners.
Or maybe it's a passion. You could have gotten your dad's sister's deep, deep love for history, a spark that, for whatever reason, your own parents just never had.
It can even show up in how you handle things. You might have your mom's, dad's incredible ability to just stay completely calm under pressure, a trait that somehow skipped your parents entirely.
And yeah, sometimes it's physical, but in these really subtle ways. I'm not just talking eye color. Maybe you have the exact same cheek structure as your dad's mom, something you'd only ever notice if you were digging through old photos.
It can even be a hidden talent. Maybe you're just amazing with your hands. You can build or fix anything, just like a craftsman uncle you've only ever heard stories about. So, okay, this is all pretty cool, but so what? Why does any of this actually matter? That's what Section 4 is all about, finding guidance in your past. This is where we get into why these connections can be so important.
I absolutely love this quote from the source. You're not strange, you're carrying a legacy. I mean, wow. It just completely reframes those things about you that might make you feel a little different. They're not just random quirks, they're these deep, profound connections to your whole family story. And this is how that discovery really helps. I mean, first off, it validates who you are. Seeing your traits in other people, it builds this incredible emotional resilience. It helps you finally understand your own place in this bigger family story. And ultimately, it offers you a map for your own life, not just, a simple mirror reflecting your parents.
All right, so how can you actually start spotting these patterns in your own life? Let's get practical. Our final section is your guide to self-discovery, showing you how to get started on this journey.
The source lays out a few really simple ways to do this. First step, just think about it. Who in your wider family just feels familiar, even if you don't know them that well? Second, talk to your elders. And don't just ask about names and dates. Ask them what their brothers or sisters or parents were really like. Third, dig out those old photos. Look for clues, similarities in how people stand, their expressions. And finally, if you can, try to connect with those relatives yourself. Just listen to their stories.
And that really leaves us with one last powerful question to chew on, long after this is over. It's not just about where do I come from, it's about whose story am I continuing. So really, take a look at your own life, your quirks, your passions, and ask yourself, who are you an echo of?